Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Marquez may have finished second fastest in Friday's practice at the Japanese Grand Prix, but the day was anything but smooth for the 8-time world champion. Despite his strong lap times, Marquez struggled with various issues throughout the session. Let's take a closer look at what went down and what he had to say about one of his most challenging Fridays this season. Francesco, Pecco. Bagnaia might have ended Friday's practice session at the Japanese Grand Prix in 7th place, but the reigning 2-time world champion is anything but worried. Bagnaia remains confident about his pace and believes he is one of the fastest riders at Motegi. Let's dive into why Bagnaia is optimistic for the remainder of the weekend. Jorge Martin heads into the Motegi weekend deep in the fight for the MotoGP World Championship, but he's not feeling entirely comfortable with his form on track. Despite finishing third and securing direct passage into Q2, Martin had a challenging day and admits he needs to improve his pace. Let's hear more from Martin as he analyzes his day and his main rival, Francesco Bagnaia. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez, who has shown competitive pace this season aboard his Gresini Ducati, was visibly frustrated during Friday's practice. Although his time attack put him just 0.033 seconds behind Brad Binder, the Spaniard revealed that several issues plagued his session, preventing him from working in a normal way. Today was a strange day, first of all for the weather. And on the other hand, we had a very strange practice in the afternoon with various small problems. But we were not able to work in a normal way. Quote from Marc Marquez. Marquez was seen spending extended periods in his garage, discussing changes with his team, and preparing for his time attack. Though he declined to provide specific details on the problems, he hinted that braking was one area of concern during the Spanish debrief. With several challenges to overcome, Marquez emphasized the importance of securing a spot in Q2. His team worked tirelessly to make adjustments during the session, focusing on maximizing the time attack. I cannot go into details, but we had many small different problems, and this practice was crucial. So, for that reason, I knew it was also important to go to Q2, Marquez told by Crash. Despite the issues, Marquez's pace was enough to secure his direct passage into Saturday's Q2 session. His crew chief, Frankie Carcati, later described the practice on social media as one of the toughest Fridays of the year, acknowledging that while nothing was working early on, the team managed to figure things out during the final minutes. Marquez's teammate, Alex Marquez, also encountered difficulties but managed to find a late improvement in the session, ending up 8th with a time of 1 minute and 44.033 seconds. Both Gresini Ducati riders will now focus on building momentum ahead of the qualifying session, hoping to solve the remaining issues on their machines. For Marc Marquez, overcoming this challenging Friday will be critical as he looks to capitalize on his pace in the race weekend ahead. With some key adjustments already made, all eyes will be on the Gresini rider as he prepares for what promises to be a competitive qualifying session. It was a tough day for Marc Marquez, but his resilience and the efforts of his team ensured he stayed in contention. As Saturday's qualifying approaches, Marquez will look to maintain his pace and address the problems that have hampered his progress. With direct access to Q2 already secured, the next hurdle will be finding the consistency needed to convert his speed into race success. Stay tuned for more updates from the Japanese Grand Prix. Bagnaia started his day on a high note, finishing at the top of free practice 1 with a 1 minute and 45.209 seconds, ahead of title rival Jorge Martin. His performance in the second session saw him go wide at turn 11, which resulted in a best lap time of 1 minute and 43.754 seconds. Despite this, Bagnaia secured a direct path into Q2 and remained satisfied with his performance. It's been a very positive Friday. From the start, I felt good with the bike. Everything we did improved my sensations. We worked on the braking, and I think we can be happy. Quote from Pecco Bagnaia. Bagnaia was particularly pleased with how his team fine-tuned the bike, especially in braking, which allowed him to show solid pace across the sessions. Despite missing out on his ideal lap in the second practice, Bagnaia remains confident in his overall pace, feeling that he has the fastest rhythm on track. He completed his time attack runs with promising speed, but minor mistakes kept him from showcasing his full potential. Our pace was fantastic. The time attack went well, but I didn't use all the grip I could on the first attempt. I went wide on the second try, but without the time attack, I was still in Q2. So overall, it's a positive Friday, Bagnaia told by Motorsport. With rain predicted for Saturday morning, Bagnaia knows that adapting to changing conditions will be crucial. Bagnaia acknowledged that while his pace may be the strongest, Jorge Martin and Pedro Acosta remain close competitors. Though Martin struggled during Friday's session, Bagnaia expects his title rival to bounce back when it matters most. At the moment, I think our pace is quite good, maybe the strongest. But it's too early to say. Acosta and Martin are very close to me, and we're all on the same pace. I'm sure Jorge will be ready by tomorrow, Bagnaia concluded. Looking ahead, Bagnaia feels that Motegi suits his riding style, likening the track to Jerez and the Red Bull Ring, where he also performed well. With that in mind, he's ready to continue pushing and maintain his advantage throughout the weekend. It was a strong start for Pecco Bagnaia at the Japanese Grand Prix, and despite his 7th-place finish, the Ducati rider is confident in his pace and expects a fierce battle with Martin and Acosta. With rain looming, Bagnaia will need to adapt quickly, but he feels well prepared for the challenges ahead. Stay tuned for more updates as we head into Saturday's qualifying. Although Jorge Martin finished the day third, it wasn't without difficulty. The Pramac Ducati rider struggled to find the rhythm he expected, particularly after making some adjustments compared to last year. The slightly altered bike setup didn't yield the improvements he hoped for, leaving him feeling out of sync. It was a difficult day. This morning the track conditions weren't ideal. Riding with slicks and a bit of rain isn't great on a MotoGP bike, but I managed to finish second. In the afternoon, the sensations were worse than expected. Nothing worked, and I had a hard time keeping the pace. We need to take a step forward. Quote from Jorge Martin. Martin mentioned that a small change of 2 mm in fork height affected his performance, highlighting how even minor adjustments can impact his comfort and control on the bike. One of the main issues Martin is facing is with the front end of his bike. He noted that he's struggling with front lockups and difficulty in cornering, which is causing him to lose time and consistency on track. I suffer a lot with the front end. There's too much front lock, and when I enter the curves, it closes a lot. So in general, I don't turn in well, and I'm already late on the gauges. We need to focus on improving the front end because that will help everything else. Quote from Jorge Martin. Despite his discomfort, Martin isn't overly worried about the forecasted rain on Saturday, confident that his team has enough data to make the necessary adjustments. When asked about his rival, Francesco Bagnaia, Martin acknowledged the reigning world champion's strength, noting that Bagnaia will always be a formidable opponent. While Bagnaia has looked particularly strong at Motegi, Martin remains focused on his own performance and is prepared to fight on track. Pecco will always be strong. He's my number one rival right now. He looked even stronger than in Indonesia. But he'll always see himself better than me, and I'm just focused on what I can do. Martin concluded by Motosan. Martin is confident that if he can take another step forward, especially with his pace, he'll be able to challenge for victory. Though he doesn't feel at his best, his lap times suggest he's still competitive, and with further improvements, he's optimistic about his chances. Jorge Martin may have had a difficult day on the track, but he's determined to overcome the challenges with his bike and push forward in the title race. With rival Pecco Bagnaia looking strong, Martin knows he needs to fine-tune his setup and improve his pace if he's to take the fight to the reigning champion. We'll see how things unfold as the weekend progresses. Stay tuned for more updates from the Japanese Grand Prix. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you in the next video.